Hello students. So in this session we will be discussing the two external hardware interrupts INT0 and INT1 of 8051 with some examples. So by the end of this class you will be able to describe the external hardware interrupts of the 8051. Alright. So pay attention, it is slightly complicated. You need to be attentive during this session. Alright. Okay, the microcontroller 8051 has two external hardware interrupts, INT0 and INT1. These are generally at pins P12 and pin 13 of microcontroller of port 3. Okay, so P3.2 and P3.3 port 3 pins are designated for external hardware interrupts. All right. So what happens whenever there is interrupt? Yeah, we know that whenever there is interrupt, the microcontroller has to stop whatever it is doing and it has to jump to the ISR interrupt service routine location of the corresponding interrupt and execute the ISR, right? So that is the procedure. So even here, whenever the extra interrupts are generated via these pins, that is INT0 and INT1, okay, then the microcontroller should stop whatever it is doing and it has to go to the location 0003H, which is the ISR location for INT not, interrupt not, and or it has to go to location 0013H, which is the ISR saved for interrupt 1 type. Okay, so how does it happen actually? Okay, so how do we say that interrupt has occurred? Okay, so there are two ways that they can be activated. One is level triggered and edge triggered. So let us discuss each one by one. Okay, this diagram shows what I explained in the previous slide. So in order to activate the external hardware interrupts via pin int not or int 1, that is interrupt not or interrupt 1. So based on how have you programmed it to be activated, whether you want it to be activated for level triggered or edge triggered, accordingly you will give 0 or 1 respectively at IT naught or IT bits, okay, of IE register, TCON register, okay. So based on the TCON register, how you program the way you want the interrupt to be generated, extra interrupt to be generated, whether it is level triggered or edge triggered, based on that the ISR will be activated. ISR, which is at the location 0003 for extra interrupt 0 and 0013 for extra interrupt 1 will be activated or executed. So in level triggered mode, okay, these pins interrupt 0, interrupt 1, the external hardware interrupts, these will be normally high, okay. Just like all other input output port pins, they are on reset or on power up mode of a microcontroller. These pins will be high, all right. So if you program them to be low or a low level signal is applied to them, that will be an indication that there is a interrupt, okay, that you need to program. How? Using TCON register, okay. So whenever there is a low level signal applied to these pins, then the microcontroller has to stop whatever it is doing because it has to respond to the interrupt generated across these pins, interrupt 0 or interrupt 1, okay. So the meaning here is normally these pins will be high, okay. Whenever they go low, that is the indication that interrupt has occurred, okay. So what do we know when there is an interrupt? Microcontroller will go to the interrupt service routine table and the corresponding address of this particular interrupt, that is whether 0003 or 0013, then it will execute one of these ISRs, right? So in the ISR, a care should be taken that these pins or these signals has to be made high, okay, or the low level signal has to be removed. Otherwise, it is a meaning that still there, if it is not done, then it means that there is still interrupt coming at this particular pin. Okay, so the execution of the ISR would mean that in that ISR you have to take care that this low level signal at the pin 3.2 and P 3.3 has to be removed, as an indication that the ISR is executed or you are responded to the interrupt. All right. So if at all, if you have not removed the low level signal, means that there is still interrupt at this pin, and again the interrupt would be going to that location, ISR location, and will be executing the ISR again. All right. Uh, that exactly is called level triggered or level activated interrupt. Okay, and you remember this is the default mode of the 8051. Okay, that means the interrupt, the way the external interrupt will be received will be always low triggered, will be always in low triggered mode. Okay, if you want to change it to edge triggered, then you have to look into TCON register. Yeah, try to analyze this program. Assume that interrupt 1 pin is connected to a switch that is normally high. Whenever it goes low, it should turn on an LED. The LED is connected to P1.3 and is normally off. When it is turned on, it should stay on for a fraction of a second. As long as the switch is pressed low, the LED should stay on. So what is the meaning there? Try to analyze the question. Okay, at the interrupt 1 pin there is a switch, okay, which is normally high. The switch is at the normal high position. All right, so whenever it goes low, so what is the indication there? There is an interrupt. So whenever it goes low at external interrupt 1 pin, then you have to glow the LED that is connected to P1.3. Okay, P1.3, that means at port 1 you have connected an LED to one of the pins of port 1. So that has to be turned on whenever there is interrupt. That is a meaning. All right. So whenever there is interrupt, what does it mean? Whenever there is interrupt means whenever there is low signal coming at interrupt 1 pin, okay, then the LED should be on. All right. So let's see how to write the program here, right? It starts with org00 as usual, and we are avoiding the memory location allocated for interrupt vector table and the ISR. So we have to save our program in some other location. So we use ljump main instruction. So ljump main means your program is saved at org30h, right? Observe the ISR here for INT to turn on the LED. That is the second part of the program. Let's see in the main program what is happening. So in the main program, first you are loading the IE register, okay, interrupt enable register, isn't it? So first you have to enable the register, whichever you have to consider, right? So observe there, you are enabling the D7 bit, that is enable all interrupts. Obviously you have to do that. Then you are enabling the external interrupt 1. All right. Now what are you doing? Sjump here, end. That's it, the program, isn't it? You're enabling the external interrupt and you're waiting. What are you waiting for? You're waiting for the interrupt. So whenever there is interrupt, something has to happen. What is that? So whenever there is interrupt means what is the indication there? At INT1 pin, there should be low level signal coming, isn't it? So whenever low level signal is coming at external interrupt 1 pin, that means there is an interrupt, right? So we know that whenever there is interrupt acknowledged, then the microcontroller will stop whatever it is doing and it will execute the ISR. Now imagine in the main program you have enabled the external interrupt 1. That's all. You are keeping the CPU waiting for the interrupt to be generated. Now assume interrupt is acknowledged. There is an interrupt at this pin. Now ISR has to be executed. So go to that location ORG0013H, which is the location for ISR of external interrupt 1. So in that program, in that subroutine, what are you doing? First set bit P 1.3. So according to the program question, you have to glow the LED. So you are sending high signal at P 1.3. The LED is on now. So as the question says, when it is turned on, it should stay on for a fraction of a second. So you're using some delay program there. You're loading 255 decimal number into R3 register, and you're decrementing the contents of R3 register, that which is nothing but meaning that you're waiting or you're generating a delay there, right? Yeah. So you're generating delay. After that time, after a few second, okay, or a second, say you are coming out of the loop, then you're turning off the LED. That's all, isn't it? Then return back, come back to the main program. Okay, if you recall, P3.2 and P3.3 are the pins of port 3, isn't it? So generally in normal case, these are nothing but input output port pins, right? So if you recall, some of the port 3 pins are multifunctional. So based on the way you are using it or programming it, they will be either used as input output pins or as the other multi-function, alternate function, right? In this case, P3.2 and P3.3, if at all you are not enabling the corresponding pins in IE register, then they'll be normally used as input output pins. If at all you want to use them as external interrupt pins, then you have to program that using IE register. That means you have to enable the external interrupt pins. Okay, only then these will come into the picture. All right. So after the hardware pins in the IE register are enabled, the controller will be checking for low level signal once in each machine cycle after you enable the corresponding bits in IE register. Okay. Now, according to manufacturer, the low level signal that is coming at these pins, okay, it should be at least for 4 machine cycle. Okay, that means they have to be held in low state until the start of the execution of ISR. Okay, that means the CPU has to understand that there is an interrupt. So how is it? Like when you send a low level signal, this low level signal should be for a time duration that the processor in the 8051 should understand there is interrupt, okay, and it has to go to ISR location and execute it. Till then it has to be maintained low, okay. Then it has to be brought back to high level before the execution of RETI instruction. What does it mean? So the duration of the low level signal at these pins should be low for such a duration that it should be acknowledged or received or understood that there is an interrupt. Okay, it should be low till the start of the ISR, and it should be back to high level, okay, by the end of the ISR. That's the meaning. Okay, now the manufacturer sheet also informs that if this external interrupt pin is left at logic low even after RETI instruction of the ISR, then another interrupt will be activated after one instruction is executed. That means if you maintain low level even after the execution of ISR, then that would be considered as one more interrupt coming at that particular pin. Okay, so in order to avoid that, you have to see that the low level coming at these pins should be brought to high level by the end of RETI instruction. Okay, that's a point. So to ensure the activation of the hardware interrupt at the INT not or 1 pin, make sure that the duration of the low level signal should be around 4 machine cycles, but not more than that. Okay, that means the ISR also, the execution of the ISR also should be so low, that is the instructions what you're using in interrupt service routine also should be so minimum that it should be covering this 4 machine cycles only. Okay, so the low level signal should be at least for the duration of 4 machine cycle, so that by this time the ISR will be started and completed. So by the time this pin goes back to high level, the ISR is executed. That is the meaning. I hope you are understanding. Kindly go through the the figure here. It indicates 4 machine cycles required and the way it should be like going low and coming back to high level. Okay, when you are talking about level triggered type of interrupt. Okay, so if at all you want the interrupts to be edge triggered, okay, then you have to look at the corresponding bits of TCON register. So I hope you recall TCON register. There are bits called IT0 and IT1. These flag bits indicate what type of the type of interrupt triggering you want to consider. So these bits, if they are 0, then it means that you want the interrupt to be at level trigger. Okay, or that is when the signal coming at these pins are 0 level trigger, or if you make IT0 and IT1 flag bits as 1, then you mean that you want edge trigger type of interrupt. So edge triggered means whenever there is transition from high to low, that is high to low transition, then you want to consider that signal as a interrupt signal. Okay, so to do that you have to alter the IT0 and IT1 flag bits of TCON register, which are D0 and D2 bit of TCON register. I hope you can recall. So these bits can be also addressed as TCON.0 and TCON.2 of TCON register because it is bit addressable. Just I have placed here the TCON register for your uh, to recall the things, for you to recall the things. So upper 4 bits it is for the timer, run and overflow flag, and the lower 4 bits for interrupt, right? Just to recall. So just go through the bits IE1, IT1, IE0, and IT0. So I'll just read one of them just for uh, remembering, recalling things or refreshing our memory. So IT0, TCON.0, interrupt 0 type control bit. So set or cleared by the software to specify falling edge or low level uh, triggered external interrupt. So falling edge means here high to low transition. All right. Now IE0 TCON.1, uh, observe that external interrupt 0 edge flag set by CPU when the external interrupt edge, that is high to low transition, is detected. Cleared by CPU when the interrupt is processed. So what do you understand? To select the interrupt type, whether it is edge triggered or level triggered, you use IT0 and IT1. IE1 and IE0 bits will come into picture only when you have programmed IT0 and IE1 as 1. Okay, okay, otherwise there is no role of IE0 and IE1. I hope you are understanding. So these are the flags that will indicate IE0 and IE1 are the flags that will get set only when there is high to low transition detected. That is only when the external interrupt signals are detected here, only then that will be indicated here in the flag bits in TCON register. Let's analyze this program. Assume that P3.3, the external interrupt 1 is connected to a pulse generator. Write a program in which falling edge of the pulse will send a high to P1.3 pin, okay, which is connected to an LED or a buzzer, okay. In other words, the LED is turned on and off at the same rate as the pulses are applied to the external interrupt 1 pin, okay. So I have placed here both the registers TCON and IE register, all right. So the first part of the program is the first two instruction where you start your program. Second part is your ISR, and third part is your main program. So observe the main program. What are you doing there? It starts with org30. That is where your main program is saved. So you are setting a particular bit of TCON register. That is TCON.2. Observe here the topmost register here. TCON.2, you're setting it, making it high. So your external interrupt 1, you're programming it as 1, that bit is made 1, which is an indication that it is edge triggered type of interrupt, okay. Then you are loading IE register with 1000, that is 8, and 01006, isn't it? Oh, sorry, 4. So observe the second register there. You are enabling the external interrupt 100. EX1 is made 1 and EA bit is also made 1, right? Now SJump here end. SJump here is an instruction where you are waiting for something. SJump here. So that is a loop. What are you waiting for? You are waiting for the interrupt to occur. Okay. So this is just an just to for the beginners to understand when the interrupt occurs, what happens. Okay, generally the program would be excluding this SJump here. All right, then end. Now what happens if there is interrupt? Now what is the interrupt there? We have programmed in such a way that the external hardware interrupt that is connected to INT1 pin, okay, we have programmed it as edge trigger. That means whenever there is high to low transition at this pin, okay, so generally these pins will be high, right? So whenever high to low transition is happening, then we want to say accept it as a interrupt, okay. And whenever interrupt is occurring, what the microcontroller has to do, it has to stop what it is doing and execute the ISR. What is in ISR? Go to that location 0013H, see what is happening. Set bit P1.3. You are making P1.3 pin high because you have connected LED there and you want to turn it on. Okay, so now the LED is on. Wait for some time. So you're using a delay program there. Move R3 with 255 decimal value. You're decrementing R3, waiting for the R3 to become 0. Once it becomes 0, then you are out of the loop. Okay, so that means you are generating delay there. So after delay, what are you doing? Clearing P1.3. So you're turning off the LED. Okay, and you're returning back. That is the halt of the subroutine, isn't it? So what was the objective of the program? Whenever there is falling edge of the pulse, so at external interrupt pin 1, extra 1 interrupt pin, that is P3.3, you have connected a pulse generator. So pulse generator, you know, it is a continuous pulses. So whenever there is high to low pulse occurring, status occurring, then you have to glow the LED, right? Glow the LED for say few microseconds, all right, and turn it off. So next pulse and next transition, that is high to low edge of the pulse, again the LED will be on. So in the program you are owning the LED and turning off the LED. because in the next pulse again, next high to low transition of the pulse, again the ISR will be executed, which will be like you are turning on the LED and turning off. I hope you are getting. So for every high to low transition of the pulse that is generated and it is coming at this extra interrupt 1 pin, you are turning on the LED. Okay, so by the end of the execution of the ISR, it is turned off. So turning on and off of the LEDs at the same rate. I hope you are understanding that. Okay, so how to understand the sampling of this edge triggered interrupt? Okay, so in edge triggered interrupt, we know that the IT0 and IT1 bits of TCON register has to be made 1. So we have understood that. Okay, and uh, so whenever there is high to low transition, okay, so in order to understand or ensure that there is high to low transition, so the signal has to be high for at least one machine cycle, and it should be low for at least one machine cycle to ensure that the transition is seen by the microcontroller. All right. So that care has to be taken at these external pins. All right. Then the falling edge of, that is high to low transition of these pins INT, int naught and int 1, interrupt naught and interrupt 1 are latched by the microcontroller and are indicated by TCON 1 and TCON dot 3 bits, that is IE naught and IE 1 bits. Okay, so these are they function as a interrupt in service flags. All right, so only when high to low transition is occurred and it is received by the microcontroller and it is executing the ISR, so that is indicated by this IE0 and IE1 bits of TCON register. So they are nothing but interrupt in service flags. All right, so it is they're like just like indicating to the external world that the interrupt is being serviced and no new interrupt on these pins can be responded. That is the meaning. So it is as good as the way you hear a busy signal on the telephone which is already in use. All right, so that's why pay attention here. IE0 and IE1 bits will come into picture only when IT0 and IT1 are programmed as edge triggered. All right, only when IT0 and IT1 are made 1, only then this interrupt in service flags, that is IE0 and IE1 bits, will come into picture. Okay, and they are the flags. They'll get high, they become high to indicate that interrupt is being serviced. All right, and so when they are high, it is an indication that the interrupt service routine for extra interrupt 0 or extra interrupt 1 for edge triggered interrupt type is serviced or is under service. That's the meaning. uh, Regarding IT0 and IT1 bits in the TCON register, as I explained earlier, the following 2 points must be kept in mind. So when ISRs are executed, are finished, okay, then the pins TCON.1 and TCON.3 are also IE0 and IE1 pins are cleared, okay, indicating that the interrupt is finished and 8051 is ready to respond to another interrupt on that pin. Okay, and also during that time the interrupt that is during the execution of the interrupt service routine, irrespective of how many times there is high to low transition, okay, if these bits are high, that it is an indication that it is responding to the interrupt that was already acknowledged at these external bits. Okay, then by the end of this ISR, the RETI will clear these bits, okay, TCON 1 and TCON 3. Okay, RETI of this particular external interrupt will automatically clear IE0 and IE1 bits. Okay, there is no instructions again required saying like clear tcon.1 or clear tcon.3 like that. Okay, RETI does that. That is, it will clear the IE0 and IE1. So remember, it is a service interrupt in service flags. So when the interrupt service routine is being executed, these bits will be high and only for the situation of edge trigger. Okay, and these will be made 0 or cleared by the RETI interrupt service routine. Okay, so you have to remember these important points. Yeah, that's the end of today's session. Please go through. It is quite important. Interrupts, that is programming external hardware interrupts in 8051, because there are so many theory part involved in that, and also go through the programs also. Though the programs looks very simple and easy, but without the basic theory behind it, you will not be able to program, or you will not be able to analyze a program as well. So pay attention, go through the explanation again and again. If you have any doubts, let me know. Thank you.